we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Boys and girls, you'll have known this because this will probably be the last one that I upload. If we've planned this right, this may well be Saturday's video, maybe Saturday or maybe Sunday's video, something like that. We asked you for suggestions. It's in the international break. There's not an awful lot going on. And quite frankly, talking about this a lot better than me uploading about England. I'm just not motivated to do it, truth be known. This suggestion is from Andy Armit. Andy, thank you very much, mate, by the way. He said, can we discuss Noble's role and Noble's relationship with the board? I've got quite strong opinions on this. I've sort of even alluded to him on his channel in the last, certainly last week. I did. Joe, what are your early impressions of this?
Rather than know yours first, because you've got a little bit of a bit between your teeth about it, so you crack on.
Well, okay. This is sort of twofold. So Noble's role at the moment, as we understand it, is sporting director. Now, if you go and log on to the West Ham website, it doesn't actually explain what a sporting director is. So we have to sort of second guess whether it's a director of football, sporting director. I don't even think the position's been established enough for that anyone could truly know. So it's more a case of what's he mandated to do? What is his remit? I think some of it is for dealing with the younger players, bringing the younger players through. I think that's fine. But there is also a first team responsibility with it. We try and gain this information and by reading into what people say. So I've heard some interviews with Mark Noble. I've heard David Moyes speak about it. And David Moyes has said things like, we try and get Mark Noble involved in the recruitment process. So Mark Noble's been invited in for meetings. I would also assume that even if we assume he's being, okay, so he's going to be involved in recruitment in some way. He's going to be involved in the academy, overseeing the academy. We also know, because we've spoken about it on this channel, that the academy are going to be looking for a new recruitment manager because they've lost Delroy Ebanks. So who's going to be doing that? Is that going to be Mark Noble? I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, what's Mark Noble's skill set for identifying who the next up and coming head of an academy might be? So that in itself is interesting. So that's one job. So if we also assume he's got to deal with the recruitment as well, this is absolutely fine. But then we have this situation where Mark Noble is also very recently the captain of West Ham. And with that in mind, he knows all the players. So he's still going to be in contact with the players. And what Andy was asking is Mark Noble's relationship with the board. So I think Mark Noble has got to be a conduit between the board and the dressing room also. Okay, so he might report back. Now, this is something that I do think is very interesting. If we just take this recent story that was Jacob Steinberg leaked, which would have absolutely been leaked to him by a player in the West Ham dressing room. And I do believe it was confirmed by a second player as well. So I'm not digging Jacob Steinberg out in any way, shape or form. I think his information was good. That there was a bit of no, maybe not a rebellion, but there was some discontent in the dressing room. The players were very unhappy with the tactics. And they let it be known. They leaked it. Now, as I also understand, there's been a bit of disgruntlement on the training ground and some other things that we couldn't possibly verify, but things certainly that have been heard. I think at that point, it's Mark Noble's job then to maybe, how does that information with these frustrated players and maybe some frustrated coaches, possibly allegedly, get back to the boards to let them know, actually, not everything's good on the training ground. Not everything is good. The players are unhappy. This is separate from, I thought player power sometimes at Chelsea was out of control. I'm not talking about that. I honestly, I don't think the tail should be wagging the dog. However, if it is for the sake and for the health of West Ham, if it is disintegrating to such an extent it's bad for the club, I want that information to reach the owner, because I think the owner has been too, I think he should have dealt with the situation. I don't like this constant backing of David Moyes, regardless of whether David Moyes wins, loses or draws. And let's be fair, there's a lot more losses and draws than there are wins. So here's where I worry about Mark Noble, and I don't know this. Is Mark Noble compromised in that information, bearing in mind he is meant to be a conduit between that and the board? Is he compromised by his loyalty to David Moyes, who was very good to him, had built up a relationship, and probably we know David Moyes put Rob Newman in place I don't doubt that David Moyes would have been consulted by David Sullivan and said, is it all right if we make Mark Noble the sporting director? I've no doubt that David Moyes would have rubber stamped that as well. So I'm just wondering, are we getting a diluted version of what's happening in the dressing room? Because let's be fair, Mark Noble is probably grateful to be in the role. I don't know what your thoughts are, Gia.
Yeah, I can't disagree too much, to be honest with you. I think I'm very disappointed, actually, because when he went in the sporting director, I was okay with it at the start because things were looking, when it got announced, things were okay at West Ham. We were expecting to have a comfortable season. I thought,
Sure.
well, this is probably the right time for him to go in because it's a steady ship. But very quickly, it got a bit rocky. Before he'd even officially started his role, we were in a relegation battle. And I thought, oh, this is a. When Noble agreed to become sporting director and actually became sporting director, the scenarios of the football club were completely different. If you go look at them, it's completely different things. And when he came in, and then there was the rumours towards the end of the transfer window that Noble was almost ready to resign. He'd almost offered his resignation, remember? And I thought, good on you. Do you know something? I thought, fair play to you. If you've wanted all this responsibility and you've not had it, and you feel like you're not involved in the recruitment process, and which traditionally a sporting director should be, and you've decided, well, I'm not doing this, I'm off. Good, fair play to you, off you go, kind of thing. And then whether that was true or not, we'll never really know. But there was certainly a lot of noise that Noble was not happening, and it came right at the end of the transfer window too, which again, convenient. I don't think so. So there has always been this sort of feeling of confusion as to what Noble's role actually is. And I think you get the impression that even Noble's a bit confused as what his role is. But the problem is there's just too many like almost big egos or whatever, right? Moyes is the manager of the team. You manage the first team, and that is it, kind of thing. And you speak about how Moyes said, "Oh yeah, we're getting Noble in for recruitment." It should be the other way around. Noble should be getting Moyes in for a meeting about recruitment.
Yeah.
Not that it's completely baffling. And when you look at like hierarchy at a club, sporting directors like the next one down kind of thing from the owners and the chairman. At our club, he's below the manager, and that's not right. That's just absolutely ludicrous. He's on the same level as Kevin Nolan, just with different responsibilities. He should be David Moyes' boss. That's what that should be.
Yes.
Moyes should answer to Mark Noble, not the other way around. And this is where I just feel a bit disappointed because like you said, we should have got somebody in, and he became sort of deputy sporting director or something for a couple of years to grow into the role a little bit. And but somebody that would come in and have that authority and say to Moyes, "No, sorry, I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
I don't care how it was done the last couple of years. Things are different now. We're moving on. The football club's moving in the right direction, not just a different direction, the right direction. We're actually putting in an infrastructure in place." So that we can continue the progress that you've made rapidly, we're going to be able to see that through because it's not built on solid foundations. It's built on a house of cards at the minute. I'm here to put in those foundations and take advantage of this purple patch that you're going through. And we haven't really. We've completely cocked it up. There was an opportunity there for the club to get the right appointments and maybe just solidify that 6th and 7th place finish. Noble's role at the minute is just a little bit, I don't know what it is. He's only been there 2.5 months, but everything good that you can put at Noble's door so far is about the academy. And that's it. There's no player contracts. We've literally not had a player sign a new deal since he's been sporting director. There's no transfers that you can say that he's in charge of. There's nothing. And you speak about, that guy leaving the academy. Well, it should be Kenny Brown's responsibility as the academy manager. Go get your new recruitment. But Noble should be bringing Kenny Brown in and saying, "What are you doing about this? Why is that guy left? What's happened here?" But can Noble do that? Can Noble bring in Brown and hold him to task and say, well, hang on a minute, why have we lost a key member? Why have you lost a key member of your staff? What's happened? Why have you not come to me and said Newcastle's poaching him? Because there'll be compensation involved and whatever, so the club will be aware of it. Why has that happened? Noble, I always think, should manage the managers, if you like. He should be in charge of Rob Newman. He should be in charge of Kenny Brown. He should be in charge of David Moyes. He should be in charge of Ian Taylor, the head of media at West Ham. Noble should technically not necessarily be directly in charge of him, but he should be having him in his office every day, saying, like, what's going on in the media kind of thing. What do I need to know about? What do I need to tell you? What to put out there kind of thing. Noble should have his fingers in all the pies at West Ham. He should be in charge of all the pies at West Ham, but he shouldn't be baking them. Someone else should be doing that. Noble saying, you need to make me a steak pie. Yeah, well, he can eat them if he wants. He's retired now. Enjoy yourself, Nobes.
Yeah.
But it just feels like There's no pie. It's a
No.
crap sandwich. That's all we've got.
What did we call Emerson that time? What did we call him? That was meal deal. What was he? Was the what meal deal was Emerson?
Oh, you called
Before he
Emerson.
started
It
playing
was like
well.
a ham. It was like a ham sandwich, a bottle of water, and like very salted crisps or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
It
we
was just a
started
bit
comparing
plain.
people to meal deals, and that was Emerson. Yeah, there you go. Oh look, it's not any clearer. I mean, so sorry, that was Andy. It was Andy's question. Andy, we probably haven't cleared that up for you. Truth of the matter is, we don't know. That's what we think is going on. That's
But
what we
that's a
think should be
problem.
going on.
If Noble was doing the job correctly, or the job that he should be doing, we'd know about it. But the fact we don't know about it suggests
Yeah.
he's not allowed to do it.
No, and I do think just finally, I think with that, which I know I always said David Dean, but that's
It's
because he
just,
was
well, how are you meant
experienced.
to know who a good sporting director
I
is?
don't know, but well, whatever. He was the guy that ended was managing Manchester United, but shouldn't have been manager. He was a
Ralph
director.
Ragnick.
Him, those sort of people. That there are people that's their job, and I just think sometimes it's a lot easier. You talk about dragging Kenny Brown over hot coals or whoever else. I think that's easier for an outsider. Do you know what I mean? Just to come in sometimes, say, "Oh, you right? Okay, what's going on here?" And I do think, and that would be a final thing. I do wonder if particularly that conduit between the first team and the board, if Noble is compromised because of his relationships, you are almost better off going in there not knowing anyone, and then interviewing everyone, and then right, okay, here you go, and here's my report, and that's that. Anyway, Andy, thank you very much for that. We will also, well, I'll tell you what we're discussing. Over on the main channel, we are discussing a very, very interesting quote made by Vladimir Sufal about the ownership. He's maybe leaked something there, and something which was suggested by Oswell K, who wanted us to discuss the other teams involved in the relegation battle. So, firstly, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you've got a thumbs up, and make sure you press that bell to remind you of uploads. But also, make sure you subscribe to the main Hammers Chat channel. Basically, if you type Hammers Chat into Google, you won't go too far wrong, and particularly if you do it into YouTube. So make sure you are subscribed to both, which is easy for me to say. And myself and Gio will be back later on today.